Hello class, this is Miss O, and we're doing some maps today, so I wanted to go over it with you. All right, so the first thing that you had to do in class was to take a look at the pages that you had. This one happens to be called The First People Arrive in America. First thing I'm going to do is put the title on here. Okay, so the first people arrive in America. Okay, and I'm gonna, again, put my name on the back. All right. So then the next thing I asked you to do is to go ahead and take a look at the pages. And you see where it says map in motion, and this will tell you how to animate your map. And then it says map points, and it gives you the story. This is the story of your map. Okay, so this is the historical information that you're going to be responsible for teaching to the class. When it comes to teaching with the map, you need to be able to ask the questions and know the answers to the class. So please go over them and make sure you include this information in your presentation. We will do a Kahoot at the end to assess your knowledge based on all the questions that you see from the different groups. So you know each one of you has a different map in your groups, okay? So each group has a different map. When it says map making on the side, this gives you some information about how to put the map together. The page 5 for moving the map and all of that I have on the board in class. Okay, it also tells you to maybe display a current map of North America, challenge students to place these things on a different map. So we're going to take a look at some of the other maps of North America in this time period too. Okay, so just make sure you read through all of this information. Okay, and then it's going to say more map work here. We're not going to necessarily get into that. And then the next 2 pages you're going to see are the map themselves. Okay, so it's in 2 parts, and the first job you have is to color the parts. So I'm going to go ahead and start by coloring my land masses green. Now, if I look at the map key, it tells me the dots, these light dots, are the present day land mass. Okay, that's the coast of Alaska today, and that's the coast of Russia today, right? But we're looking at the first people arriving in America 15,000 years ago. And so this area was actually land back then because of the Ice Age. Much of the ice was locked up in these glaciers. And so people were able to walk across the land from Asia into America. This today, because the ice caps have melted, is water again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color in my land. And I'm going to skip my glaciers. I'm going to leave them white because to me, I think of ice and I think of giant chunks of white on top of land. That's what I see as glaciers. Perhaps some blue, right? Okay. So, and then I would go ahead and just color this whole area in. All right, I'll fix it up later. Okay, now over here, I'm going to outline my land. I'm going to color this in. And here's the area where they were able to travel into North America. Okay, and after I outline all of this, I color it all in. The next step will be to start to cut out the pieces. Okay. So I know your maps are all different. If you have trouble finding what is land and what is water, make sure you compare it to other maps, and I'm always here for you to ask. Looking at Google Maps and looking up the places that you are at can really help you get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, and so again, I'll color that in later, but this is all going to be green. Okay, so I've got my land colored in, and now I'm going to do the water. Okay, so let me get a blue, and I'm going to just kind of outline the ocean here. I'll color it in later, and I'll show you what my finished map looks like. Okay, but I'm going to outline the ocean. Okay. This is all water. This is the Atlantic Ocean over here. These are the Caribbean Islands. Okay, here's Florida. Again, this is all water. This is the Pacific Ocean. Okay, and I'm not going to color the glacier. I'm choosing to leave my glacier white. If you have the glacier on yours, you can color it if you'd like to. Just don't color it the same as the land and the same as the water. All right. So now I've got that one pretty much done. Just got to color this in real quick. Okay. And over here, finish up. Okay, and then all this would be the ocean as well. All right. So for the most part, I'm ready to go. All right. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is maybe color in some of my animals. Okay, so as you can see now, I've colored in my animals on here, and I've colored in all my pieces on here. So the next thing I need to do is to cut out my pieces. And so I'm only going to cut around the thick, dark lines. I am not going to cut the dotted lines. I am only going to cut around the thick, dark lines, which means I'm not going to cut here. I'm going to cut all the way around. I'm not going to cut here, but I am going to cut here. Okay? Okay, so I have finished cutting out all my pieces. And so my next step, you notice that I only cut around the thick lines, I didn't cut on the dotted lines. So my next step is to assemble my map. So before I glue anything, I'm going to fold on the dotted line. And this one is going to get folded like this, so that the mammoth is going to stand up, and you can see the name on the bottom. And then I'm going to fold this one underneath that. And my mammoth is going to travel through the map. So I'm going to want to glue my mammoth together with a glue stick. Take a glue stick, glue on the bottom. I'm going to glue that piece together. So now I have a three-dimensional stand-up mammoth. Okay, and I'm going to do that for any of them that have that shape. Now this one doesn't have that shape, so I'm just going to fold it along the line and open it back up. Fold it along the line and open it back up. Okay, the words are going to get stuck onto the paper somewhere, and your little tab will be sticking up. Okay, like a pop-up book. We're making pop-up maps. All right, so we keep going here. This is a fantastic resource that I have found as a teacher. It's 3D interactive maps, and I'll show you the book I got it from at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and the first people are going to travel. See how there's more than one set of dotted lines. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my mammoth. I'm going to fold it, fold it, fold the bottom, so I get a 3D stand-up First people in Americas. Okay, and then again, because it's a stand-up, this piece is going to get a little bit of glue and it will become a three-dimensional movable piece. Okay, now the next thing that I need to do is glue my map together. So I have a tab here, and without getting it on my folder, I'm going to put some glue right there on the tab, and I'm going to glue this part of my map here. You know what? Before I glue that, there's something I need to do. Okay? If you take a look at the map, we were supposed to cut along all the thick black lines. Now, you see this arrow? I'm just going to follow it with my scissors, and I'm just going to make a slit in the paper. Just like that. Okay? I'm not going to cut it apart. I'm just going to do that. Over here, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to cut along the line. Okay? Now, when I stick my paper together, I should have a big part in here that's open. Okay? So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to center my map in the middle of my folder. All my little pieces to the side. Okay? And I'm going to glue my map, but I'm not going to glue the middle. I'm just going to run glue on the outside edges, and I'll show you why. Because you're going to want your pieces to be able to move. So stay away from the slit, okay, and just cover the edges with glue, just like this. All right. Filling in here a little bit. I don't want to fill all the way up to that. I want to make sure that I'm leaving some space for my pieces so they can move inside the map. All right, now I've got enough glue, so I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put it gently so that I try to line it up so that it's even. I'm going to press around the edges, get my map on. I should still be able to lift this flap, and that is very important that you can lift the flap, okay? Now, where do I put my other pieces? So if you go back to your reading, it's going to tell you on here where to put things. So it's going to say this map shows what North America looked like thousands of years ago during the last ice age. Insert the hunters piece at the beginning of the arrow in Asia and the mammoth piece in front of the hunters. Okay, the hunters will pursue the mammoth across the land bridge from Asia to North America. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these guys in here. Make sure they're facing the direction of the arrow. So I'm just going to make sure I put the bottom in. I'm going to get my people standing up. Okay? And you can see on both sides. Now I'm also going to take my mammoth. I'm going to do the same thing. So that while people... Oh, my mammoth is going the wrong way. All right. So now I have that part of my map set up. Okay, the next thing I have to do is look at my other pieces, and they tell me where to put them. It tells me on here, and so I'm going to have to go ahead and figure out where these places go. All right, how am I going to do that? I'm going to need a map, right? Okay. So as you read through your passage, it will tell you when they get to these places. If you look up here, it can show you where, in a sense, to place your other tabs. Okay? So you have to place each piece near the location where it was found. Make sure they don't block the movement of the mammoths, all right, or the hunters as they go. So we're going to have to figure this out. So we've got Central America. Well, I know this is Central America, so I'm going to glue the fishtail point down here. All right. Central America, fishtail point. Okay. And I'm going to leave the top flat up. Just going to glue the names. The next one I see is a projectile point from central Mexico. This is central Mexico. So I'm going to go ahead and place this one here in central Mexico. Right? The next one I have is Pennsylvania. So I know Pennsylvania is over here on the East Coast, North America. Okay, so we're going to have Pennsylvania over here. We're going to have North Carolina. Probably needs to be south of Pennsylvania. This is the Hardaway Point, North Carolina. So, I mean, they're big, so they're going to take up a bigger area than you intend. Now, Clovis points were found in New Mexico, but they were also found all across from Ohio to New York, all the way down to New Mexico. So I'm going to put my Clovis point like close to the middle because they were found in a lot of different places. And I know I'm covering up the word North America. Okay, and the next one I'm going to put are these. And they say New Mexico. So I'm just going to go right north of Old Mexico, or Mexico. Okay, we're going to put the Folsom Point about here. Right? So now that I have all my pieces stuck on, I can tell you the story of the map. Right? Now I'll wait for the story of the map for another time. Okay? But this is how you assemble the maps. And these pieces might not exactly tell you how, but you can figure out where they go. And if you need my help, I'm always here for you. All right? So the next video, we will go over the story of the first people in America.